Loud. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the SECC meeting. We are waiting on, I believe her name is Molly from DGS. I don't see her present. However, like when she pops on, hopefully when she pops on, we'll go right to her. In that note, I guess we will move right to like just any public announcements or any other announcements that anybody wants to make. And if Molly shows up, she could just chime in and then we will get the meeting started. Does anybody have any announcements for the group? Any updates, anything along those lines? There she is. Technical difficulty. Okay, sorry about that. I just heard back from Molly. She's experiencing a bit of technical difficulties and she is trying to come in. So give us a second. Right? Okay, I'm hearing no updates, announcements real quick. On that note, I'll just make a quick announcement for myself. For those who don't know, my name is Jonathan Phipps. I work with Kaylee. Normally, this is her meeting that she runs. She unfortunately could not be here today. I'm often doing in the background on the Workforce Development Committee. For those who don't know, the Workforce Development Committee is a committee that we do run on Fridays at 9 a.m. It's typically an hour. If you would like to join, please send an email to myself or Kaylee saying you would like to be involved in that committee. Our big meet that we're planning on doing is we're doing a reintroduction to other workforce development entities within the capital region. That's going to be the first Friday in January, which I believe is the 7th or 6th. I don't recall exactly the date, but like it's around that time. So if you would like to be a part of that and introduce yourself to other workforce development entities within the capital region, please, by all means, reach out to myself or Kaylee, and we'll add you to that committee. And then you could introduce yourself to all the other ones. And it's a more focused group, actually focused towards workforce development. That's the only announcement that I have. And I'm going to see if she is here. Molly, are you here yet? No. Okay. Don't you just love technology? It's
Yeah.
great when it works.
Yeah. Good morning, Jonathan. While we're waiting, this is Joy Morton, South End Neighborhood Association. Um, we had our meeting last Tuesday evening. Um, and we heard from the Albany Police Department regarding, and I think we may have mentioned the church that's here on Clinton and Alexander. But the report from the officers, they had Officer Kawa had boarded the building several times. 3 windows were actually broken, and they boarded them up. But what they found when they went in on the last inspection, they heard water running, and he said there was over 6 feet of water in the basement of that building, and the roof has a serious leak. And it's unfortunate. It's a beautiful structure. I'd hate to see it continue to deteriorate. And I don't know, what could be done to help save this building. I don't know if anybody on this call has any suggestions, but that's an issue, especially given that the building on Second Ave, Bishop Common-Theo's church had burned, a couple of weeks ago. So, but the there were probably squatters in the church that I'm talking about on Clinton and Alexander, um, which would explain why the windows kept being broken. So someone was definitely in there doing something. And I don't know, anybody have any suggestions or thoughts on what could happen? I think at one of the meetings, we talked about like some of these older structures would need to be good projects for um some of the workforce stuff that's going on. I don't know. But just putting it out there while we wait, brainstorm.
I can give you some up on that particular property. Yeah, there's a lot of squatters in there. There's more than just two. It's like a little tent city. I just found out about it about a week or so ago. In addition to that, they've gone in and they've pulled out every pipe, every piece of metal, and anything that could met any money over the years.
Well, that would explain the water in the basement.
So I don't even understand how that structure is still standing. Thank God for the bricks, because if it was on anything else, it'd be gone. And they enter from the back and from the side.
They're in there from Broad Street,
They
probably.
come in off of that clear patch on Broad,
Yeah.
and enter from the back. There's like a back door area.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the part you really can't see from the street, because I know I had reported the windows broken, the broken glass
I
on
haven't
Clinton
seen the
Street.
windows because it's literally like a block behind me. But somebody had mentioned something about the kids in the church, because they had just came and did an emergency board up on Alexander and Broad at one of the land bank properties right on the corner.
Okay.
And so I guess maybe about a week or two later, I saw a DGS uh, pickup truck in front of the church, but I didn't see any kind of activity. I don't walk up that block if I don't have to. I try to conserve my steps. But there's life in there. As a matter of fact, now it all comes together. There was a young man, that the mission sometimes gives out furniture. And there was this young man pulling this lounging chair, and then all of a sudden I see him come back with the empty dolly, and maybe he was taking it to they've got a lot going on in there, and it's kind of like even unsafe, just for the water, just for the cold. And because they've taken everything out of there, it's also, I would imagine, a tinder box. And from what I understand, the individuals that frequent there are get high people. So it's no longer a safe environment either. It's not about somebody just trying to find a place to lay their head. It's a den well, call it what it is, a den of thieves.
Yeah. Well, I know APD said that when they were in there that, they actually pulled their guys out because they didn't think the building was safe because of I guess the floors or might have sections that aren't structurally sound. But
That
I think
building has been vacant how many years now?
I don't know, too many, but
Because I've been here
unfortunately,
going on 4. It's been vacant at least for 4
uh,
years.
yeah, it's much longer than that.
So,
But
and we did bring
um,
this up on a conversation. So while we wait for DGS, at what point in time, for properties as such,
Lauren,
uh,
DGS is here.
okay.
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 Okay. We're here. We just didn't want to interrupt the talking.
Oh, by all means, you could feel free to interrupt. How about we just close out this quick discussion and then we'll pivot right to you. I believe that was Lauren, that was you speaking, right?
Yeah, I was just saying that it was pretty intense what's going on in there. And as soon as it's locked out, a window gets opened up in order for access. They really don't have anywhere else to go at this point in time. If I'm capturing the individuals that they had explained to me stay there. And that's all that I could possibly add at this point in time.
Okay. So we're going to move. Thank you, DGS. Sorry about you guys having technical difficulties. The technology is wonderful when it works properly, but when it doesn't, it's an interesting dynamic for all involved. So today we're going to be discussing Albany Department of General Services. Obviously, with the winter approaching, there's going to be a lot of differences in how the city takes care of things such as trash pickup, snow removal, general cleanup. And they're just going to basically speak on that for a bit. And I will mute myself and I will hand it over. Do you need me to share? Do you need me to give you share screen access or anything along those lines?
Nope.
Nope.
We're just going to talk. Just going to talk.
No problem.
So, all right. So let me introduce myself to anybody who doesn't know me on the call. My name is Frank Zioli. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of General Services. And because we're having technical difficulties, we're in my office. Behind me is Molly McGuire, our Operations Manager. Anyway, I've been with the department for 28 years. Matter of fact, I was a part of creating the South End Community or the South End Neighborhood Association way back in the day, before it became an association. So, I'm a fifth generation, I'm 4 out of 5 generations here in the city of Albany, born and raised. So, Albany is very special to me, and the South End community being one of them because my family lived for over 50 years on Madison Place. So I know that's more the Mansion neighborhood, but it's still the South End as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, I'm here at DGS. So talking about, we can talk about anything you guys have, that any concerns you have or whatever, but you brought up snow removal. So let me at least start here. We're ready for snow, obviously. So we got a couple of inches on Thanksgiving. Those are always the tough storms when people want to be home with their families and they can't be, they have to be at work. So we always hope for when people, dream of a white Christmas, I slap their face and say, nope, no white Christmas. We don't want a white Christmas because that means these hardworking men and women can't spend it at home with their families like they'd like to. So, but that was the case on Thanksgiving. About 4 inches fell, and we had crews in, all day, plowing the snow, and we knew it would be short-lived, that it was going to go away pretty quick, but that is what that is. So, we have in the department, we've always had a thing where we're ready for snow by Thanksgiving, and we're ready to take, go back to normal by St. Patrick's Day. So plows on by Thanksgiving, plows off by St. Patrick's Day. It's kind of our rule of thumb, and that's exactly what we were. And we were ready. St. Patrick's Day, we were hit with that storm, which right up until the night before was going to only be a dusting for the city of Albany. Ended up being 4 inches. So, in certain parts of the city. So it is what it is. We have to always be prepared, and we are. We always have salt in the barn. We've always got the equipment set up and ready to go, and we are ready. So what we ask of the residents is, when a snowstorm is called, when we know that something is coming, stay off the roads, stay home, and follow whatever rules, whatever recommendations or rules are coming out. That there's always a press avail. There's always something in the media. But we ask people to please just stay home. It's amazing how many people the day after, 24 hours after a storm, want to walk the streets like it's July 7th. Like there's no snow on the ground. It's a gorgeous 80-degree day, and then they want to walk around. You got to give us time to clear the snow. The sidewalks are the responsibility, the removal of snow from sidewalks, the responsibility of the homeowners or the tenants if the homeowners aren't there. But it's the homeowners that, if they don't do it, we will do it, clean it, bill them, and they get a fine for not doing it. But you'd be surprised how many in the city don't do it. So it's an issue getting to all of them in a timely manner. So we do the best we can, and we try to get where we can and get them cleaned. But we ask everybody to follow the rule, which is to clean the sidewalks in front of your property 24 hours, within the, from the end of the snowstorm. So there's that. When there is a snowstorm, like I said, we ask that people stay off the road. The less people on the road means the better plowing we can do. Follow any street, when we go into a snow emergency, follow those rules, move your vehicles where they need to be, because that gets us closer to the curb, or it allows us to get the snow out of there. Any failure to do that, yeah, you'll get ticketed and towed. But in the amount of time that it takes us to wait for the tow truck to come, and for it to be ticketed and then towed, it puts us behind. So you've got a 24-hour window to get as many of those streets either pushed back or removed before we move it over. So let's say I have to wait an hour for that one vehicle that just decided not to move for it to be towed. Okay, that puts me an hour behind, right? So it is definitely something we ask: follow the rules and regulations. It's for all of our, it's for productivity. It's getting it done quickly, and it's for everybody's safety. So we ask that people do that. And I always ask when it comes to the snow to be kind to the plow drivers and the workers, because they're working 12-hour shifts. And it's backbreaking work, it's freezing. Everybody, pretty much on this call is probably inside in a warm house watching television, enjoying themselves. And these people are out there working in the coldest, most, dismal weather. And, I can't, the men and women of this department, I'm in awe of what they do every day. But especially what they do during the winter time, because, it's not pretty, but they get it done. And I applaud, what they do. So you talk about trash pickup during snowstorms. We don't suspend trash now. At one time we did. All right, back in the day, because again, I've been here 28 years, so I can tell you I remember things that we did do. We used to suspend recycling during snow emergencies, and snow emergencies only, not snow. But we stopped doing that because it just didn't work. People didn't get the message. You couldn't educate them well enough to know to do it. So that it was, half the people wouldn't put it out, half the people wouldn't, and there'd be recyclables strewn all over the place. And one of the reasons we did that back in the day was because it was one less thing. Those drivers that drive those trucks also could drive plows. So that helped us get more people into plows to get rid of the snow quicker. But the other reason is that when you have these mounds of snow in your right of way, right in front where you put your trash every day or every week, it's full of snow. Where are you going to put these recycling bins? Then it's slippery, they slide, they fall, they all over the place. So it just was, that was the reason. But we did that for a short period. We don't. So whenever there is a snowstorm, we do, and during one of your scheduled trash and recycling pickup days, you can put it out. But what I do ask is if you don't have to, wait until the next week. It lightens the load a little bit for the guys, so maybe we can get them into a plow truck, and it lets stuff on the street during a time when that snow is being whipped up on and all over. So, especially when you get a foot of snow on the ground, so all hands on deck with all the residents if we can do that. But obviously, if your trash needs to go out, it needs to go out, and that's not a problem. We will pick it up. So I guess that's my spiel for winter, but I'd love to open it up for questions, and we can really talk about anything DGS related. But so I guess, questions. And if whoever's the chair of this meeting, if you can call on people.
That I will.
So I don't have.
I was gladly going into
yeah.
that. I just
Thank
couldn't
you.
get me unmuted. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
All right, so I see 3 hands up, and then I'll do the 3 hands, and then I'll open it up to just general questions. I think the first one is Valerie. You had your hand raised.
Yes, good morning. So my first question is, you talked about people not shoveling and removing the snow, but what does that do for the seniors that can't get out and shovel? Are they allotted time before DGS just shovels their snow and give them a fine? Does someone knock on the door to see if it's a senior to say, do you need help or something? Because I know last year there were a few seniors like right in my area that couldn't get out, and the community was looking for people to help them out, or asking our own people that come and shovel snow if they could help them out so that they don't get fines, because I didn't know what DGS actually does to help out the seniors, especially when it's to move a car, to shovel a car. Like a 70, 80-year-old can't get out there and shovel to move a car or something like that. So are they allotted time, or you just do it and find people?
All right, so that's a good question. It's funny because what, I'm sure you would remember back in the day when there were kids all over the neighborhood that, for back in my day it was 50 cents, but for a quarter or 50 cents you would shovel a driveway, you'd shovel a walkway, you'd shovel a car out, And I used to help a lot of seniors in my neighborhood. I grew up off of Delaware Avenue, and I used to do it all the time. Snow day, got up, grabbed the shovel, bundled up, and went out and did it. Would come home with like $3 in my pocket. You know, this was back in the '80s, early '80s, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm rich. You know, so yeah, unfortunately that doesn't happen. There's not a lot of neighborhood kids that are willing to help out anymore, or that you can grab. So the law, it's the law, right? The law says that we have to remove within 24 hours. I mean, if somebody was to contact us and say they needed a little bit more time, we could probably maybe skip that house if somebody did that and say, okay, we'll come back to it and not hit it right away. We do not have a band of people that can go out and clean. You know, again, we have to, the law is for everybody, right? And I get where that's an issue. One thing, well, I will tell you is that we have been having conversations with, for many years now, we've been trying to find like a non-for-profit like the United Way or some other, you know, Homeless and Travelers Aid or wherever, some non-for-profit that would be willing to help and do this for people. And even last year, we met with Neighborhood Services, the director of Neighborhood Services and I met to talk about, you know, what kind of a brigade can we get out there that can help senior, like a senior could get on a list or something, and then they can be helped by somebody, you know. And what we hear is a lot of seniors want to pay. They don't mind paying, you know, $20 to get it done. They just can't physically do it. Unfortunately, there's nothing to, again, we've got a job to do with the parameters of the code. We've got to get it done. So we've got to go through. We can't knock on every door and say, are you a senior? Is that why you can't do it? And like I said, the city's looking at all different ways. Can we get non-for-profits? I know that there is a program that's out of 200 Henry Johnson Boulevard under the community development section, that it's Love Your Block, it's called. And then we've been working on putting some sort of a brigade together, right? Some sort of a shovel brigade, you know, and see if there's a way we can do this with volunteers. That hasn't materialized yet, but it's definitely something that's in the works that we'd like to work on. So I guess stay tuned and hopefully we can do it. But if you find, you know, there's a senior that really truly can't do it, I would just say, you know what, you know, give us a call and say, I just can't do it. I'm waiting for a loved one or somebody to come to dig me out. Please give me time, and we'll take that into consideration. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you for answering. And then my next question is, like when the weather is nice, summertime, it just passed. We rode around a lot of streets in the city of Albany, and we noticed that Livingston Avenue, I use Uptown as an example, Livingston Avenue and Clinton Avenue, the outer streets are cleaned constantly, but the inner streets that's in between, there's like first, second, and third, they're not constantly clean when there's a lot of trash on there, a lot of growth, and no one comes through to actually do those, maybe like once a month or something, but they're constantly focused on the outer streets when people are throwing trash in fields that are left. I'll use for an example, on my home, 288 3rd Street, right across the street, so they're constantly putting stuff in that, the old TVs, everything, and the growth. And I've reached out to 200 Henry Johnson Boulevard, and Sam Wells has come up and take pictures numerous of times with that field growing so high, and people just constantly throwing garbage in it, and the owner just doesn't care. But you're constantly calling. Nothing is done about it. And just before the end of the summer, it was so overgrown and so much other stuff in it that I guess that's how it'll be through the winter now that we're to the snow season. But more of the inner streets need clean, just as the outer streets. Same with downtown. The Second Avenue is being done all the time. I see the trucks down on Second Avenue. But what happens to the inner streets? That Elizabeth Street is done, Morton Avenue is done, but the inner streets are not getting the attention. So the trash overgrowth is just enormous, and something needs to be done about it.
Yeah. So let me just say a couple of different things. I think there's a couple of things you're seeing, which are actually new programs. So we, to start off with, that lot across the street from your home, I need you to make sure that when you see that, you call 434 City. That is Neighborhood Services, and they will get it on a list for us to go out. The process for that is everybody owns the lots. There's no lots unless they're city lots, which there are they're far and few between nowadays that there's empty lots that are owned by the city. They are owned by somebody. They're owned by the land bank. They're owned by the county. They're owned by somebody private. They're owned by a company, whatever. So it's somebody's responsibility to keep them clean. So what we'll do is we will go out, we will figure out who owns the property, and we will issue them a citation, basically 5-day notice that, it's actually a 10-day notice, because it's 5 days and then we mail for 5 days, but we give them a notice to say, clean your lot. And then once your lot is clean, if you don't do it in that time frame, we come in and we clean it and we bill and fine that person. We work with the land bank, so if it's one of their properties, we have a system where we call them directly so that we're not issuing notice of violations to them. We talk to them. If it's housing authority, we do the same thing. There's certain organizations that, because they're kind of public entities, we work with them and we'll talk to them. But we also will issue these notices and we'll go out and we will do what we need to do. If you see that, please let us know. Call 434 City. Sam Wells is a great guy. I admit he's a good guy, good friend. He's a great worker, but he's in codes, and I think that it really should go to 200 Henry Johnson in the neighborhood services department. They'll get it into a system that will get to us, and we'll do it. You're also seeing a lot of cleaning happening in tree wells. So tree wells technically, and the fronts of the houses and the right of way, the strip of grass, or in this case, strip of concrete in some areas in the south end, that's the responsibility of the homeowner. That's what the code says. But again, there's a lot of vacant houses in some of these areas that we're driving through. So we've hired a company called CEO, Center for Equal Opportunity. And they're coming in. They're people that have had some brushes with the law, and they've done their time, whatever. They're on release or they've done whatever. And we've hired them. They've accrued. They come out and they go up and down these streets and they clean them. And that's what you're seeing with some of our DGS guys, and they clean them. And those are in areas where we see a lot of vacant houses where we would be billing and fining constantly. And it's in, some of the high traffic areas. So I think that's what you're seeing. But if ever you see anything like that, Valerie, please call 434 City, give them the number, and then we will get it and we will make sure that we get it posted, cleaned, and billed. Okay?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Next, we have Joanne.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Frank. I have
Good to talk to you.
I have a couple of questions. One is about street sweeping. I noticed this weekend a street sweeper came through. I was surprised, but is there a certain time of year when the street sweepers stop sweeping? The other second question is about salt bins. It would be possible to put like salt near corners, intersections, because sometimes the ramp where people can access, that's iced over, especially when if there's a corner lot and the owners are not clearing the sidewalks, the paths.
Yeah.
So those are my two.
So, okay. So, the first question, normally I would say once it starts to freeze and it's freezing temperatures, we can't bring the sweepers out, right? So normally I would say by Thanksgiving, they're gone, right? We stopped doing them, but we were able to do it because the temperature dipped up and we were able to get them out. So we'll get them out whenever the temperature is right and we have the staffing to do it. We will get them out as long as there's not other snow-related items that we're trying to clean up and all of that. We're able to get them out. So that's why you saw them this weekend. But I would say the season would be, again, the same as I talk about plow seasons. You know what? Thanksgiving to St. Patrick's Day. And I think that's when you'd see your sweepers. But it all depends on the weather. If it's not freezing, above freezing, we can bring them out. The second question about the salt barrels, and I used to say this to a lot of people, and I think they got annoyed with me after a while. Do you remember when your mother said this is why we can't have nice things? There were a lot of salt barrels through the years. They were on intersections, they were in corners, they were at hills. We had to remove them because we would put salt out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 2:30, all the salt was gone. Somebody would come and they would steal it. So it got to a point where it wasn't serving the public at all as it was. We don't have the staff to fill them up every 5 minutes. And we were watching, one day we actually watched them do it, and when we stopped them, by the time we got the cop there, they were gone, because there's nothing we could do. People use it as their own salt. Why should I buy salt? I'll just take it from the corner. So it's really difficult to do that. We'd love to do it, but that's it. I remember the salt barrels. Again, I've been here 28 years. I remember the salt barrels. and we did have them on all the hills, a lot of the intersections, so people could go and hit it themselves. But again, we used to do that with compost down here at DGS. It used to be at the end of the road. It was free compost for city residents, which is still available, but you got to come through the normal hours and go inside the gate to get it, because we would fill the compost up, for the residents on a Friday night before we left at 3 o'clock. We would put 5, 6, 7 yards of compost in a big area at dead end of DGS. And by 8 o'clock the next morning, the bin was empty, because overnight landscapers would come and take it all and steal it and take it. So it really is unfortunate. You keep it if it's not, somebody's not monitoring it. It's very difficult. So that's the reason why that hasn't happened anymore. I mean, we did do it, but that's the reason.
Okay, great.
Okay. Who's next?
Okay. Next we have Kerwin.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Frank, I actually just got a really quick question, not snow related. Sidewalk repair. I've submitted a request over 2 years ago. I'm on the corner of Clinton and 4th. The sidewalk in front of my building has been a danger to not just myself, but to community members for years. And we've been waiting for a response on when this is going to get remediated. I just want some type of update on that.
Sure. Absolutely. Let me look into it. Where is it? Clinton and what? 4th, what'd you say?
Yeah, Clinton Street and 4th Avenue.
Clinton Street and 4th Avenue. Okay. All right. We'll take a look. Is it a heaved panel? Is it a cracked? What? Just give me a little bit.
It's a combination of both, both on my side of the street and on the housing side.
Okay. All right. We'll get somebody to look at it today. And you want to shoot me in this chat, the private chat, your phone number?
Will do.
All right. So I put it in the private chat so that I get it. And then, I'll give you a call back once I figure out what's the next step.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Okay. Next we have Lauren.
Greetings, good people. Happy Tuesday. Two things. One, I concur with your concern about people, removing things in order for your staff to efficiently, work during bad weather hazard. But things have changed a little bit, and people might not be familiar with the courtesy that I grew up with, where you get out and so it would behoove you, perhaps, since your staff crosses every area that you're concerned with, to maybe take like a half sheet of paper with 3 things to do when the weather comes and make it a little bit more prominent. And then that's something that you can get out and control a little bit more quickly and more effectively. And of course, we know the flip side needs to be translated into Spanish, perhaps, to capture all of the residents now that are currently in this area that might be unfamiliar with those practices. It's not a common thing for snow in South America unless you're up high. So in that regard, it's necessary. And then second, and I'm going on the back of the cleanup that Joanne was referring to. It's I do see. I want to also, first of all, I'd like to thank your staff, because there's a couple of places where I know that they have cleaned up before, that like on the corner of South Pearl and 4th, they clean up their property because there's a lot of junkies that go up in that building. And apparently you charge the owners.
Yes.
And so, so since that is able to happen, there are spaces all about the area that if that type of cleanup is conducted and you're able to charge whomever those owners are, would that be an activity perhaps for your CEO workers to focus on those particular areas and get some compensation, for the work that's being done? But I mean, there's a way to coordinate with what you have, but things are changing, and so the way to address them has to change as well. And there's not as many homeowners who have that same commitment as there are people who are renting or leasing, and so they're not aware of some of the homeowner courtesies and normalcies that happen with owning a home. So, you know, a little gentle reminder to those folks who are living there would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Assumptions.
Thank you.
But yeah, but
Absolutely.
cleaning up the area, because I'm on Broad and I'm looking across at the area. I think I met you 2 years ago when you came and you got our chickens. I'm still devastated behind that. I want you to know that was
I
fresh
wasn't-
poultry.
You're talking about when the chickens were outlawed, right?
Yeah, I am. But no, I'm
Listen,
just teasing you. But yeah, again, that particular
let me
area
go on
too.
record. I'm an Italian American, and back in the day, you know, my grandmother, great grandmother, they used to get the chickens and they'd raise them. Oh no! I thought that was somebody else that didn't like that, but they're legal now. I mean,
I
the
know
previous
a little too
this
late, but
so we're good. You can have chickens now.
okay, well, I'm gonna let them know that, and then maybe we can get them back from the corner. But anyway, just to say that I do appreciate the work that I do see your staff attempting to do. But if you have a little bit of an extra man force and you can attack some of these areas and bill out to the owners, you know, to get some kind of compensation, because what we have to do, you know, in order to, like the church, for instance. I saw your crew over here a week or so ago. I didn't realize that they were actually approaching the issue in the church. But, you know, is the church being billed for all of the work being done, boarding up these windows and things? Because I think that if we start allowing them to be impacted by what their decaying property does to our community, it might be a difference.
I know. So just, you know, you bring up the board ups, and just so everybody's aware of kind of how board ups work, you know, in regards to DGS. When a board up is decided, it is needed. Okay. It is decided by either the codes department, the fire department, the police department. Police department have to sign off on it finally to make sure that the building is empty and that we can go in and we're not boarding somebody in the building. But it can start with codes, it can start with fire, or it can start with PD directly. And one of those three will then contact us with an incident number and all the T's that have been crossed and the I's that have been dotted, and they come to us and they say, you know, we need to do it. Once we get that word, DGS comes out, they meet the cop on site, we board it up. We then come back, we have a bill filled out. The bill for that work gets no fine, just a bill for our services. Material and the hourly rate of our workers gets billed to the owner of that property. So we do bill for that part, no fines or anything, but just the bill. And we do that. DGF has no authority in making the decision of what gets boarded up. We truly are just DGS boarding service, right? So it's because the carpenters and the laborers work for DGS. That's why it comes to us and we do it. And then we have the billing procedure to bill it. But if you see any buildings that need to be boarded up, does not come to DGS, it needs to go to either codes, PD, or FD. So you can talk to your beat officers. Quite often we get calls from the beat officers, or we get calls from the police department that we need to meet. Our carpenters have to meet there to board up the building. So just since you brought that up, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the process. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And those notices, don't forget, drop those notices out. Try to get those out while, you know, people will pay attention if they have it in their hand, but there's a lot of new faces in my community.
We are working on that as we speak. We're actually looking at door hangers. So, you know, and using the neighborhood services department that the mayor created a few years ago really is working. It's a central spot where people can talk about their concerns. They've got some really great neighborhood specialists that are just invested in the neighborhoods. And so we meet on a monthly basis and we talk about issues. And we're talking right now about what kind of educational materials can be dropped, whether by them, whether by the Love Your Block, whether by volunteers, whatever. But you're right, Lauren, that's the way to go. There's a lot of people that are new to the area that don't know the rules, and we need to educate them. You're right.
And we have Deborah Marcus, and she's very, you know, present in our community. That's our neighborhood specialist. But what I want to say is just with a half-page notice that just goes, I don't, you know, see, but here's my thing. Hold on. You're looking for an expense that's not necessary. A door hanger is more expensive than taking a sheet of paper and cutting it in half and writing 1, 2, 3 to do in the weather. Do not complicate it because it needs to get out because the weather quite obviously is here. It doesn't take all of that. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
All right, but
let's
I'm gonna let it go. But I mean, I understand long term what that information is that needs to get out there, but we're talking about short term and just addressing what you actually did at the beginning of this presentation was the
Yep.
inability to for your staff to effectively do their job, just based on what's happening in the community, people not, addressing or knowing what to do. So this
Yep.
is, that's it's the best measure you have right now, unless somebody's gonna, hop in a car with a speaker and inform us that way. Much love and blessings. Thank you.
Exactly.
All right, next we have Elizabeth.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to mention, in regards to the previous conversation about lots and issues on empty lots. If anyone's aware of any issues on land bank specific properties, feel free to reach out to us directly, and we can get that sorted out very quickly.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, we also have a process to where whenever we see or we get a call about a land bank property and we see that it's overgrown or whatever, we have a direct link with you guys so that we contact you directly so that we don't go down the 5-day, 10-day notice thing. We'll get it done quicker that way and that works, so.
Yeah, thank you.
And Elizabeth, I would recommend you put your contact details about that inside the public chat, and then people could see that and write it down if you don't mind. We have, let's see, I'm looking for any questions in the chat. Just something about streetper. A question is like, again, comes up, who dictates how often a street sweeper comes down a street? Like, basically, how is that process decided? Could you illuminate anybody on that?
Yeah, so but there's routes throughout the city. The city's broken down into sweeper routes, and when they're done, it's all done based on the side of the road, the parking restrictions of what side you're on, and weather is a huge part of what gets done. And again, we ask people if there is, moving from side to side on alternate street parking. We ask you to follow those rules, not just during snowstorms, but that's part of it. We use those to street sweep. We use those to trim trees. We use those to do any pothole repairs in that area. We just we're you use those. People think, well, it's street sweeping. The sweeper's not coming down, so I'm just not going to park. By parking when you're not supposed to, it impedes a lot of work that can be done in that area. And sometimes, there are a couple of streets where there is no off-street parking, which means somebody can literally leave their car there for the entire 2 years, or as long as it's registered, could be there forever. And we would, so that's one of the reasons it makes people move it, so we can do whatever maintenance we have to do that's at the curb line, whether it's snow removal, whether it's pothole repairs, curb repairs, whether it's trimming trees, street sweeping, whatever it is. But if you don't move your car, it's not going to get done. If that one resident doesn't move their car, we're going to go around it. We're never going to clean. When they do move their car, there's going to be trash there, and it's going to stay there because we can't. So that's part of the problem. We need everybody off the street when that happens, so we can clean it. So.
Okay. We have another question, and then I'll go right back to Joanne. And that is, when do you stop picking up leaf bags? Like, what's the date on that?
It's not a fast and furious date. You know what? It's always weather dependent. The minute it snows and there's snow on the ground, we stop. The compost facility is closed as of November 15th, but it doesn't mean we're not still collecting leaves. So we actually still have crews out there now collecting leaves, so that's not a problem. And then, in a few weeks, people are going to be putting their Christmas trees out, real Christmas trees out for pickup as well. So then there's a few weeks in January we're picking up trees. So I would say that, as long as the weather holds, we'll probably do it straight through December, as long as the weather holds. But once you get snow that sticks on the ground, 6 inches, whatever it might be that sticks on the ground and stays on the ground, then we're probably looking where it accumulates, then we're probably going to stop. Again, those drivers also do other things as well. So that's part of that. So.
Okay. Final question, and then we're going to conclude, and we'll go into a steering committee. If for those who would like to stay, Joanne, I'm going to let you ask the final question. But first, I would like to remind everybody, please, I implore people to stay on the steering committee call. This part of this, it's the same exact link. We just stay right here. It typically takes about 20, 30 minutes where we discuss future meetings and ideas in which we can have for the community, and also to help out our citizens and help out other institutions in the South End and Greater Capital Region in general. So next, that's going to be Joanne, and there we go.
Okay, I try and get us all in. Do you have a schedule for sidewalk repair for 4th Avenue? I noticed especially between Clinton and Elizabeth Street, the sidewalks are not in the best of shape. And you don't have to answer that now. I'm sure you don't have that information in front of you.
Yeah.
The other question is about trash that's actually placed at the curb in front of vacant lots. I mean, bag trash. Sometimes I've noticed that it's not picked up, and I've actually called a couple of times. Is there some guideline that you can't, because I mean, I pick up trash in front of empty lots. Sometimes I leave the garbage bag near the curb so that, just
Yeah, no, it would be illegal more than likely if it was out at the wrong day, wrong time. I mean, if there's a vacant lot there and there's a trash bag in front of it on the trash day, the guys probably should pick it up. Unless it's deemed commercial, but in a vacant lot wouldn't be, right? So, if there's a large amount of trash, obviously somebody at that moment is, I think that if it's vacant, you wonder why there's trash bags, lots of bags or trash. People are placing it there that shouldn't be getting collection, and that could be part of it. But I can't surmise. So if you find a location where that's happening, let neighborhood services know. They'll let us know, and you know what, we'll try to figure out what's happening. And
sorry.
the other thing I wanted to mention was you talked about the sidewalk. So a couple of things I want to make you aware of is for all of my 28 years, the engineering was part of DGS. It was a division of engineering, end of engineering for the Department of General Services. Last year, the mayor announced that she was going to make engineering its own department. So now large scale projects like street reconstruction, sidewalks, all of that is being done by the Department of Engineering that is run by the city engineer. His name is Howard Goebel. He's actually new. He's only been here about less than a year. So DGS will not be responsible for replacing sidewalks in large numbers, right? What we will still do is do maintenance of sidewalks. So we do shaving. We have a company that does shaving to take tripping hazards off. And then we will replace probably up to maybe 10 panels on a street if we feel it needs to get done. But we are not going to be doing full reconstruction in the streets, the same thing. So we're only going to be doing maintenance, and they're going to be doing the replacements and all of that. So I can certainly get an answer for you, Joanne, and you've got my contact information, and I think I've got your email if it hasn't changed. I'll find that out for you when that location is if it's in the works. I'll check with engineering and get back to you. But in the future, those would go to the engineering department. Or maybe you could go through it. You could also go through neighborhood services or Tabora with those questions, and she could go to engineering and get you answers, but it will no longer be DGS. The other thing I wanted to bring up, that just because I've got a group of you, and we've done a little education on this, but the mattresses now that are placed curbside, okay?
Yep.
Mattresses need to be wrapped. All mattresses. So years ago, a law was passed that mattresses that contain bed bugs needed to be wrapped. Okay, they had to be wrapped in bags, the mattress bags. And we said that. Well, nobody is admitting to that. Oh, I have bed bugs, and they know they do, but they're not going to admit it. They're putting them out. And a couple say, oh, it happened while it sat outside, or whatever. So it's caused our employees that are unionized employees or employees to say we refuse to pick up mattresses unless they're wrapped, because it's putting our family in harm's way. So we're not doing it. So for a health and safety reason, the council has passed the ordinance that basically says that all mattresses have to be wrapped. Now, what we've done is we've made it so that mattress pads are free to city residents. So they do not have to go out and buy a mattress bag. They do not have to buy one. We will give you one for free. There's 3 locations of where you can get them, which it is all on the city's website. but there's 3 locations that you can get them, which is City Hall at the Treasurer's Office. That's okay. DGS or Neighborhood Services at 200 Henry Johnson Boulevard. Okay. And you just have to come in, show proof that you're a city resident, whatever you show proof of license, bill, whatever you got, and we will give you a bag, whatever size that you say you need. And if you put it at the curb, you have to put it in the curb inside the bag. So we're going to give you that to do that. It's a new thing. You know what? People who aren't doing it, we're giving them notices and telling them that, hey, we did this the one time for you. But you know, at some point we're going to start. The landlord will get billed and fined for not doing it.
We all know that our internet search history reveals some deep truths about us.
Sorry
Oh,
about
so
that.
you agree with it? You agree with it,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My phone
So,
just decided to have a mind of its own.
yeah. So no, it is definitely something that it's come up. It is a problem. Like I said, it is a problem, and our workers, you know, it's not safe. They take it home to their families, and they don't want that. So that's kind of where that's at. So I just wanted to bring it up since I had an audience of great city residents. I thought it was good to bring it up so that people know.
Okay. So I think that will end it. Unless Kerwin, is yours like less than 30 seconds?
Yes, I'll be really brief. 705 Burden Ave, just completely separate conversation. Habitat for Humanity home, we have on the market next week. 80% of the area's medium income. I just posted that in the chat. So we're looking for one individual making around 66,000 annually to qualify. 3 bedrooms, 3 bathroom, beautiful property. Hoping we could get somebody in the community in. It's not in the city of Albany, it's in Troy, but it is low income housing. 620 minimum credit score, and I can tie in anyone with a lender that needs financing or with a credit agency to help fix your credit to get you qualified to purchase.
Cool. All right. And with
That's
that, thank you very much to DGS for taking the time to addressing questions and illuminating us. For those who want, and at 10:05, we will have our quick steering committee meeting. I'll keep notes on that, and then I will send them to Kaylee, who will put that together. I don't have her type up of what we're doing next week, so it's just going to be potential ideas for the far future for 2025 meetings. Okay.
Thank you for inviting us again. Anytime, we'd be happy to always jump on and speak to your group. And again, use 434 City. Contact your neighborhood specialists. They're wonderful. They get to us all the time if there's any issues, and you know, we'll deal with it issue by issue, block by block, whatever we got to do. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see those who want to be on the steering committee at 10:05.
Thank you.